Hello, kindred spirits. We've been talking about being your own superhero, and perhaps this has motivated you to think, gee, I'd like to be my own superhero. Now, in the comic books and the movies and all that kind of stuff, superheroes often act alone. All right. Superman acted alone and Arrow acted alone for a while, and a whole bunch of superheroes were on their own. But that's not the reality. To be your own superhero, you need help. And it's okay to look for and ask for that help because you've got it in spades. First, you've got those beautiful, intuitive soul senses that I have talked about in my videos. So vision, so knowing, so understanding, so feeling. Those four are channels of intuitive information that can really help you become your own superhero. So you have that. And then, of course, you have your spirit guides. I have also talked about who they are and what they are and why they are with you. Everyone has spirit guides. You use your soul senses to communicate with them. But they are your team and they're in your corner and they can help you be that superhero to yourself whom you want to be. So, in addition to that, your guides and your soul senses, you also have you, an inner community, as you can think of it that way. In my book that I co-authored with my late wife called Hope is in the Garden, I refer to it as an inner ecosystem, but it doesn't really matter. It's the same thing. These are aspects of your being that you can call on and bring together to feel stronger and more empowered and to help you be that superhero. All right. Again, I have talked about how you are more than just a physical and a mental being. All right. That part of self that society acknowledges and rewards. And yes, you have a mental aspect and you have a physical aspect in your being. But you are also an emotional and a spiritual body, and you have an emotional aspect and several spiritual aspects because the soul is not limited like the physical body. The soul has many attributes, and among them are connection, expression, perception, and love. And that inner community, those what end up being 7 aspects of your being, in most people, they're scattered all over their consciousness, but they really want to come together, and you want them together so that they can unite and become your inner team to help you be that superhero. So the process of gathering them together is, again, different for every single person. But it involves going and finding each of those aspects and calling out to them and bringing them back to a very special place in your consciousness. I call this the garden. It's really in your heart chakra. Now, a chakra is Sanskrit for wheel, but it also means energy center. And we all have a heart chakra, which is an energy field over our physical heart that penetrates our physical heart and surrounds our physical heart and is part of our whole energy consciousness being. All right. And all of your aspects rightfully belong and should dwell always in this heart chakra together as a team. But self-judgment, vows, many other things end up scattering these aspects of your being. And that is why you feel so powerless, or one of the reasons you feel so powerless is, and maybe so scattered. It's because your team, your inner community is not together. They're not communicating. They've misunderstood each other. They're not trusting each other. They don't respect each other. Can you begin to see how this scattered, fragmented, isolated, divided inner community is certainly reflected in the world and the society and the goings on that we find in our outer world. So if we want to save the world, we begin by beginning to save ourselves, by calling on that inner community and bringing them together. All right? Only when we do this will we feel more whole and stronger and more empowered and be on our way to being our own superhero. But when more of us start to do this, the world will begin to reflect a very different, more loving reality. I mean, it's up to us to save the world. Start with yourself. It's that old saying, charity begins at home. So does everything else. And home is where the heart is. And that heart is your garden, your inner Eden. So I highly recommend that you go there and start to dwell there more often and start to build your own inner loving community in your own paradise that no one can take from you. Until next time, vaya con Dios.